I think their mission is so vital and so basic and so fundamental. Those folks are out there doing the work of the Lord and trying to spread the gospel at the same time as helping people and meeting their needs. Just look within the Army ranks. It's generations of service.
About the time the Salvation Army started in Tampa was about the time my family came to the Salvation Army in England. So for 6 generations, my family has served in the Salvation Army. So that same 125 years could be the history of my family. So the Salvation Army has been at work here since 1893, and if you know any of the history of just Tampa in general, in those days it was pretty rough. It was like the wild, wild west of Florida, I think. It was just a crazy situation. A young man who was just 32 years old named Wilbur Hall brought the Salvation Army here with $25. That was all he had in his pocket. And how it started was there was a meeting, and that meeting was disrupted. The very first meeting was disrupted by what the Tampa Tribune called a group of hoodlums. He had to kind of get in a fight basically to get people out of the room. After they left, he wiped the blood off of his forehead and he went back to preaching.
So I think that first meeting in Tampa was pretty exciting, but kind of on the rough side. And then I think from there, the Salvation Army looked around at the community and said, what are the needs here?
For the first 25 years or so of the Salvation Army's work in Tampa, we didn't have a building. We were meeting on street corners. We were renting buildings when we could here or there. It wasn't until 1916 that we actually had a building that was ours that we could operate from, and it was right downtown.
I was 8 years old, right here in Tampa, Florida. I was born and raised in Tampa. And I had a neighbor. She was maybe 3 years older, 3 years older than me, and invited me to attend Sunday school at the Salvation Army, which was in downtown Tampa Street. And I started the Salvation Army in 1933. There's been a lot of changes, mostly technological, I understand, but it's also has been cultural changes as well.
I think what's happened, what's been our success across the world, in America and even in Tampa, is that people sense the need for the Salvation Army, that we're needed here in Tampa.
Thank you.
If it weren't for the Salvation Army, there's probably a good chance that I'd still be on the streets. I used to be an alcoholic. I used to be a drug addict. Through the grace of God, I ain't no more. It feels good, and it brings me to tears.
It's an amazing thing to see somebody's life truly change, like when they had no hope, or they came from a situation where they couldn't see a future for their lives, like where they might be.
Everybody has something to give. Everybody has strengths that they can bring, and they can make changes in their life. So that makes me excited and hopeful for God's work in the world and for the way that He can change people.
Thank you. Through the Salvation Army and everybody that helps the Salvation Army to be what it is. You know, just buying something out of the thrift store or anything, a donation, it's helped me to get to where I am today.
We might say, okay, Salvation Army's had 125 years in Tampa. Let's just tie it up and say, good run, we're done. But my sense is that there's more for us to do. There's more people for us to serve, and that God's putting it in the hearts of people who come alongside the Salvation Army to help fund us, to help resource us, to help advise us, that there are people who are in need and will continue to be in need, who come to Tampa looking for hope. And it's the Salvation Army's God-inspired mission that will help us meet those needs.